Covalent molecules, the ones that we talked about previously, they're already stable. They have neutral charges. There's no reason for you to react anymore. But ions are not neutral. Ions could either be positive or negatively charged. So if they're positively charged, they're going to need to neutralize that positive with a negative. If they're negatively charged, they need to neutralize that negative with a positive. Therefore, a cation and an anion is going to combine together to neutralize each other. And they do that through another type of chemical bond, which is called an ionic bond. So remember, we talked about a covalent bond earlier. Now we had an ionic bond. And then the type of compounds they make are called ionic compounds. Okay? And ionic compounds are electrically neutral. Okay, let's do some example here. Okay, so if you look at some of those polyatomic ions that's listed here, you see that there's one that's positive and there's everything else that's negative. So the positive and the negative can combine together to neutralize each other. So for example, if I look at this polyatomic ion, it's called ammonium, NH4+. It has a one positive charge. So in order for me to neutralize that guy, I need to find something that has just one negative charge. There's a bunch of selection here, but let me just pick the easiest one at the top, which is NO3-, so that's called nitrate. So if I combine NH4+ and NO3-, I get a neutral compound. NH4+, NO3-, the two formulas combine together. Now the charges all disappear because they have neutralized each other, so we don't write those charges in anymore. Okay, NH4NO3, the name for this is just the name of the two polyatomic ions, ammonium nitrate. You can also use those monoatomic ions that we talked about earlier, like sodium ion. It can combine with a polyatomic ion, like an SO4(2-), if 4(2-) is called sulfate. And so when we combine these two things together, we can give it a name. But remember first that they have to be neutral. So the sodium only has a +1, the sulfate has -2. So in order for this whole thing to be neutral, I need to make 2 sodiums, so it will neutralize that 2- there. Okay, so then what do you get? You get Na2SO4. Now the 2 here is indication that there's 2 sodium that needs to combine. The name is simply just sodium sulfate. So you just use the name of the ion and then the name of the polyatomic ion.